When Zendaya and her longtime stylist Law Roach take on a Marvel press tour, it stops being a red carpet and turns into a masterclass. Over 2 months and 9 countries, the Spider-Man Brand New Day World Tour became one long, unbroken fashion statement. Archival Versace pulled from a private collection, an entire couture collection built around mourning, and at one point, a $35 t-shirt bought off eBay. With Peter Parker's world having forgotten him, MJ included, Zendaya leaned into black look after black look for weeks, sparking endless fan theories about what that could mean for her character. Today we are counting down the 16 best looks from that tour, starting with the ones that flew under the radar, all the way up to the outfit Law Roach himself called his personal favorite. Hit subscribe before we start because you do not want to miss what's waiting at number 1. Let's get into it. Number 16. We are starting things off in Berlin at a fan event held at Amano Rooftop, where Zendaya swapped her usual dramatic gowns for something a lot more relaxed and a lot more playful. The look came from Coach's Fall 2026 ready-to-wear collection, designed by creative director Stuart Vevers, and it leaned all the way into collegiate sporty energy, a genuine departure from the couture gowns dominating the rest of the tour. Up top, a long-sleeved, red football jersey-style top with cream-striped sleeves and a bold gray number 39 printed across the front. Down below, a brown and black plaid midi skirt cinched with a matching belt, styled almost exactly the way the piece appeared on Coach's own runway earlier that year, part of a wider collection. Vevers described as an exploration of youth culture and vintage, mixed-era Americana, mixing denim, knits, and numbered jerseys into one nostalgic, collegiate mood board. Zendaya finished the look with deep brown pointed toe pumps, a gold Rolex, and a pair of understated gold huggy earrings, giving the whole thing an academia-coded back-to-school kind of polish that felt worlds away from the archival gowns and crystal spiderwebs elsewhere on this list. Here is the twist, though. Fans immediately assumed that number 39 had to be some kind of hidden Marvel reference, maybe a nod to a comic issue, a release date, or a character's age. According to Coach's own creative team, it was not. It was simply part of the collection's athletic, vintage varsity aesthetic. No secret code attached. No Easter egg, just a genuinely fun, low-key outfit that gave the tour a breather between all the heavier spider-coated statement pieces surrounding it, and a reminder that not every single appearance on a 2-month tour needs to carry hidden meaning to still be worth talking about. Sometimes the most memorable part of a 2-month press tour is the one moment a star gets to just look effortlessly, comfortably cool, without every single stitch meaning something deeper. In the context of this countdown, it lands at number 16, not because it lacks charm, but because it carries the least direct connection to Spider-Man of anything on this list. Still, for pure craftsmanship and comfort, a well-tailored jersey moment holds its own against gowns costing infinitely more, and it set up a nice contrast for the 2 more intense looks Berlin still had waiting later that same day. Number 15. Sticking with the sportier, sharper side of this tour, we are heading to Amsterdam for a photo call look that came straight from the house of Louis Vuitton, courtesy of creative director Neko Lajeskier. This one was pulled from the label's Cruise 2027 collection, and it paired a structured, military-inspired black jacket, trimmed in crisp white detailing and dramatic silver linear embellishments, with a pair of vivid red tailored shorts. Those shorts were not originally shorts at all. On the actual runway, this same silhouette appeared as a longer Bermuda short, and for the photo call, the piece was cropped down into something punchier, shorter, and considerably more red carpet ready for a daytime appearance. A small tailoring change that made a noticeable difference in how the whole outfit photographed. Zendaya finished the look with crisp white pointed toe pumps, delicate layered jewelry, and a Rolex watch, plus a textured, wavy short hairstyle that gave the whole outfit a clean, modern edge against the sharp military tailoring, a hairstyle change that would recur across several of her later daytime appearances. Visually, the black and red combination did exactly what this entire press tour was built to do. It echoed Spider-Man's classic color story without ever feeling like a literal costume. It is a masterclass in restraint, taking a genuinely bold, statement-making piece and styling it in a way that still reads as elevated, wearable fashion rather than a themed party outfit. Of the more understated sporty looks scattered across this tour, this one earns its spot on our list for how confidently it walked the line between edgy tailoring and red carpet polish, all without sacrificing an ounce of the film's signature color palette. And it did so on the very same city stop that would later give us two much darker, moodier looks further down this list. It sits just above the Berlin jersey look on this list because the color story alone does more storytelling work, even without an obvious spiderweb or brooch anywhere on the outfit. Reworking a runway silhouette specifically for a single photo call also shows a level of intentionality that a straightforward off-the-rack pull simply cannot match. Number 14. Now this next entry might be the single most talked about outfit of the entire press tour, and it did not come from a couture house at all. For a photo call in Paris, Law Roach skipped the runway completely and went straight to eBay, where he found a vintage, oversized men's 2 extra large Spider-Man graphic t-shirt for the grand total of $34.99. Zendaya wore it exactly as purchased, styled effortlessly as a dress, letting the faded, slightly worn graphic take center stage, the way a designer logo might on any other stop of the tour, and paired it with crisp white Christian Louboutin heels, a gold Rolex watch, and sparkling diamond stud earrings. That contrast, a decades-old thrifted tee sitting next to genuinely expensive fine jewelry accessories, is exactly what made this look explode online in a way none of the couture gowns quite managed, racking up screenshots and reposts within hours of the first photos going live. After the photos went live, Law Roach posted the original eBay listing to his Instagram story, captioning it with a line, making the point that great style doesn't require a big budget, a sentiment that has since become one of the most repeated sound bites of the entire tour. It is a reminder that on a press tour full of custom couture, archival gowns, and pieces worth more than most people's cars, sometimes the outfit everyone remembers costs less than a nice dinner out. Coming in the middle of a run of much heavier, darker looks, this bright, playful moment also gave fans a brief break from all the morning gown speculation swirling around the rest of the tour. For sheer cultural impact, meme potential, and internet chatter, this outfit more than earns its place on this list. It ranks above the 2 sportier looks already covered purely on cultural weight. A gown can win on craftsmanship alone, but very few outfits on any press tour manage to become a genuine internet moment entirely on their own. And this one did that almost instantly, proving a great stylist can build a headline out of almost nothing. Number 13. Back to Rome we go. For the first of 2 archival showstoppers Zendaya wore in the Italian capital. This one came from Giorgio Armani's Spring 1990 collection. A sheer, floor-length black gown layered over a nude slip, covered from top to bottom in intricate, shimmering spiderweb beadwork. According to Law Roach, the decision to reach for Italian design specifically for the Rome stop was intentional. Part of a broader philosophy he has spoken about before, where the tour's looks are chosen to reflect whichever country or city they happen to be visiting at that moment. The gown was styled with jewelry from Tiffany & Co., and finished with a sleek, glamorous hairstyle that let the intricate beadwork do all the talking, rather than competing with it. A deliberate choice given how much detail was already woven into the fabric itself. What makes this dress so effective is its restraint. There is no bright color, no obvious costume reference, no branded logo moment, just a genuinely rare vintage piece where the spiderweb motif is worked directly into the fabric itself, rather than added on afterward as an accessory or brooch, meaning the reference only reveals itself the longer you look. It is the kind of look that rewards a second glance, one where the details only really land once you see the beading catch the light up close. Pulling a piece this old, this delicate, and this specific from Armani's archive for a single evening appearance in Rome speaks to just how much thought went into every single stop of this tour. And for pure archival rarity alone, this one deserves a spot in the upper half of this countdown, well ahead of some of the more contemporary off-the-runway pieces further down the list. It edges out the Paris t-shirt moment on this countdown for craftsmanship and rarity alone, even if it will never generate the same volume of online chatter. Vintage beadwork of this quality rarely leaves a private archive at all, let alone travels internationally for a single evening appearance. Number 12. This next look might be the cleverest reference on the entire tour, and if you blinked, you probably missed it completely. For a photo call at Edge and Hudson Yards, New York City, Zendaya stepped out in a look pulled from Vetements Spring-Summer 2027 menswear collection. An oversized, white double-breasted blazer worn open over a dark button-down shirt, tied together with a pale silver necktie, a sharp contrast against the Manhattan skyline behind her. Instead of trousers, she wore thigh-high, black patent leather boots that ran all the way up to the top of her legs, giving the whole outfit a sharp, almost architectural silhouette that read as equal parts power suit and street style. She finished things off with a pair of spiderweb drop earrings from Jacob & Co., tying the sleek monochrome outfit back into the tour's larger visual theme, even as the rest of the ensemble read as pure, high-fashion menswear rather than costume. Here's the detail that sent fans into an absolute frenzy online. Law Roach confirmed on his Instagram story that the stark black and white color scheme was a deliberate nod to Mr. Negative, a Spider-Man villain built entirely around a photographic negative visual identity, whose comic book debut is actually what inspired the title Brand New Day in the first place, decades before this particular movie ever existed. It turned out to be more of a wink to longtime comic readers than an actual hint about the film's confirmed villain lineup, but it remains one of the sharpest, most layered fashion references of the whole press tour. Hidden in plain sight, inside a look that, on the surface, simply reads as a genuinely great menswear-inspired suit rather than a costume. It ranks above the Rome Armani gown here specifically because of how many layers of meaning are packed into one relatively simple outfit. A vintage gown can be beautiful on its own terms, but building an entire villain reference into a monochrome menswear look, one most fans needed help decoding, takes a genuinely different kind of styling intelligence. Number 11. Later that same day in Berlin, Zendaya changed out of her Coach jersey and into something considerably more dramatic for the evening's festivities. This second Berlin look was a custom piece designed in collaboration with Louis Vuitton's Nico Gesquier, a sleek, cropped, waistcoat-style top made entirely from black leather, paired with a low-rise maxi skirt that swept dramatically into a long, sweeping train behind her as she made her way into the venue. It is a striking, almost femme fatale silhouette, a total tonal shift from the collegiate preppy energy of her earlier look that same afternoon, and proof of just how much ground this tour covered in a single day, let alone a single city. The real Spider-Man nod, though, was hiding in the jewelry. Zendaya wore a pair of web motif earrings finished in blue gemstones designed by jeweler La Corte, along with a sculptural cocktail ring from that same designer. The two pieces doing more thematic heavy lifting than the sleek, minimalist leather itself. Paired with a slicked-back short hairstyle, the whole look leaned harder into edge than elegance, proving once again that this press tour was never going to settle into just one single aesthetic lane for very long, even within the same 24 hours, let alone the same city. Wearing two completely different custom Louis Vuitton pieces on two different legs of the tour, both loaded with subtle spider references in the jewelry rather than the fabric itself, is exactly the kind of detail that separates a good press tour from a genuinely great one. Positioned just above the Vetements suit, this look earns its spot for sheer versatility. Very few outfits on this entire tour manage to feel both dangerous and elegant at once, and pulling that off on the same day as a completely different, much sportier look only adds to the case for placing it this high. Number 10. Our next stop is Amsterdam, for a look that leaned all the way into gothic romance. Zendaya wore a piece from Alexander McQueen's Fall-Winter 2026 collection, a sheer black lace dress detailed with intricate silver embroidery and trailing web-like strips of fabric that moved with every step, worn underneath a long, structured black coat with dramatic, flared cuffs that swept out behind her as she walked. The coat gave the whole outfit a sense of drama and movement, something that felt almost cinematic when she walked through the crowd of photographers, the flared cuffs catching the light with every turn she made for the cameras. It was styled with a slicked-back hairstyle, sparkling drop earrings, and classic black pointed-toe pumps, keeping the accessories minimal so that the dress and the coat could carry the entire look on their own, without a single piece of jewelry competing for attention. Critics, covering the tour in real time, noted that this outfit set the tone for a noticeably darker turn in Zendaya's press tour styling, one that would only get moodier and more dramatic the very next day, when she debuted an even more directly spider-themed dress in that same city. It is easy to see why fans latched onto this stretch of the tour. Between the sheer paneling, the trailing web detailing, and that sweeping structured coat, this look feels less like a standard red carpet outfit and more like a costume pulled from a Gothic period drama, which, on a Spider-Man press tour built around clever thematic dressing, is exactly the kind of unexpected choice that keeps an entire fashion cycle talking for days. It ranks above the second Berlin look because of how completely the coat, the lace, and the web detailing work together as one unified concept, rather than leaning on a single accessory to carry the entire spider reference the way a few other looks on this list do. Number 9. Now we arrive at the official London premiere, held at the Odeon Luxe in Leicester Square, and Zendaya chose to go full couture glamour for the occasion, breaking from the black heavy pattern she had followed at nearly every stop before it. The gown came from Tamara Ralph's Fall-Winter 2026 Haute Couture collection. A luminous ivory mermaid silhouette covered in shimmering gold bugle beads with delicate, draped chain straps running across the shoulders in place of a traditional strap or sleeve, catching the light with every small shift of her posture. To keep the Spider-Man references alive, even in her most classically glamorous look of the entire tour, Zendaya added a gold spider accessory from jewelry designer Care Wolf. A subtle, easy-to-miss detail tucked into an otherwise pared-back accessory lineup, one you would only catch if you already knew exactly where to look. Her hair was styled voluminous and textured for the occasion, and the rest of her jewelry stayed minimal and understated, letting the gown's intricate beading catch every flash of the cameras on its own terms as she made her way down the carpet outside the theater. Fans had spent weeks theorizing that Zendaya's nearly all-black wardrobe on this tour was hinting at a darker storyline for MJ. So this rare ivory moment briefly threw that theory into question, right before an equally rare white gown at a later stop would end up reigniting it entirely. Of all the premiere gowns on this list, this one is the most traditionally glamorous, the kind of dress that genuinely would not look out of place at any major award show, red carpet, or gala season. As beautiful as it is, it lands just below the McQueen moment on this list, simply because its Spider-Man reference is the most minor of any look in our top 10, tucked into a single brooch rather than woven through the fabric itself. Pure glamour alone was never quite enough to outrank the tour's more thematically ambitious pieces. Number 8. We are heading back to Madrid for the second of two looks Zendaya wore there. And this one might be the most direct, unmistakable color reference on this entire list. For a press junket that only surfaced through Law Roach's own Instagram account rather than official red carpet photos, Zendaya wore a fire engine red gown from Spanish designer Ernesto Naranjo's Fall 2026 collection, a fittingly regional choice for the Spanish leg of the tour that fans immediately picked up on. The dress featured a draped halter neckline that flowed seamlessly into a long, elegant skirt, with a sheer, gauzy overlay adding movement and softness to what could otherwise have been a very stiff, structured silhouette, giving it a fluid, almost liquid line that Zendaya has favored in the past. Law Roach captioned the reveal with a simple, fitting line: "When in Spain, wear a Spanish designer." She paired the gown with matching red Christian Louboutin pumps, a gold Rolex, and jewelry from Steph Ferry, keeping the entire look monochromatic from head to toe in the exact shade of Spider-Man's suit, a palette she would not fully repeat again until much later in the tour. After a run of looks that referenced the film through texture, beading, or archival design choices, This one did it purely and unapologetically through color, and the effect landed immediately with fans following along online. Sometimes the simplest idea, just commit fully to the red, ends up being one of the most memorable, most screenshotted looks of an entire press cycle, even without a single spiderweb, brooch, or archival label attached to it. It ranks just above the London premiere gown for how directly and confidently it committed to one single idea. Where the Tumor Ralph gown whispered its reference through one small brooch, this dress shouted its connection to the film through a single, unmistakable color choice. Number 7. Let's rewind slightly, back to the very first stop of the international leg, for the official Madrid photo call held at the Four Seasons Hotel, the outfit that effectively opened this entire press tour. Zendaya opened this leg of the tour in a strapless black gown from Christian Cowan's Fall 2026 collection, featuring a textured, jacquard bodice with a clear nod to 1940s silhouettes, built using genuine vintage lace and silk, sourced from that exact decade, sewn into an otherwise thoroughly modern shape. The real standout, though, was the skirt, an asymmetric satin sash, giving way to dramatic, swishy corded fringe that swayed and cascaded with every single step she took down the carpet, mimicking the exact texture of a spider's web caught mid-motion. She finished the look with delicate drop earrings, a subtle bracelet, and classic black pointed-toe pumps, keeping the accessories quiet enough to let that fringe do all the visual work as she moved through the hotel lobby for photos. Christian Cowan has become something of a go-to for Zendaya on recent press tours, known for exactly this kind of playful, texture-driven silhouette. As the outfit that kicked off the entire Brand New Day press tour, this look set expectations impressively high right out of the gate, establishing immediately that every single stop over the following 2 months was going to carry some kind of clever, web-inspired detail, whether that detail was loud and obvious or nearly invisible. Looking back at it now, knowing everything that came after, it holds up as one of the more quietly clever, underrated entries on this entire list. It just edges out the Erna Esto Naranjo gown on this countdown, thanks to its historical significance as the tour's opening statement, plus the technical achievement of working genuine 1940s textiles into a completely modern silhouette, which takes considerably more effort than simply committing to one bold color. Number 6. Coming in at number 6, we are back in Rome for the look many fans and critics alike consider the clearest, most literal nod to Spider-Man's actual costume on the entire tour. For a fan event in the Italian capital, Zendaya wore an archival two-piece set from Gianni Versace's Fall-Winter 1997 collection, sourced through Ray-Bay Archive, a red, square-necked crop top and a matching blue and red sequined miniskirt, both absolutely covered in glittering Swarovski crystals from top to bottom. What is easy to miss here is that this was not actually one single runway look. Law Roach combined 2 different colorways from that same 1997 Versace collection to build the exact red and blue combination Zendaya wore that day, essentially engineering the perfect Spider-Man color story out of 2 separate archival pieces that were never actually intended to be paired together. She finished the look with a gold Rolex, sparkling diamond stud earrings, and crisp white pointed-toe pumps, essentially completing the entire Spider-Man color palette from head to toe in one single outfit, right down to the white soles that mirrored the character's own boots. Versace's own official Instagram account even commented directly on the post, praising her for the archival pull and calling her one of the label's proudest ambassadors. It also did not hurt that the lightweight crop top and skirt were considerably more practical for a summer photo call in the middle of a Roman heatwave than the heavy, structured coat she had worn earlier in the tour. After weeks of subtler, more abstract, more coded references scattered across the tour, this was the single moment the tour finally, unapologetically leaned into the exact colors everyone following along had been waiting for. It ranks above every look we have covered so far because, unlike the more subtle references earlier on this list, there is absolutely no ambiguity here. Anyone glancing at a single photo instantly understands the connection. And doing that using 2 archival Versace pieces stitched together into one cohesive story is a genuine styling achievement in its own right. We are officially halfway through this countdown, and honestly, the best is still very much still to come. If you are enjoying seeing the full story and every single detail behind these looks, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Because the final 5 outfits on this list include an archival piece that Law Roach personally called his favorite of the entire tour. A premiere gown with a brooch worth talking about on its own, and the 2 gowns that close the whole thing out on opposite sides of the world, each one more symbolic than the last. Trust me, you are going to want to stick around to see exactly what's coming at number 1. Let's keep this countdown moving. Number 5. At number 5, we are back in London for a completely different look from the official premiere gown we already covered, and this one comes straight from the archives of the late designer John Galliano. Pulled from his spring 1997 circus collection, this bias-cut slip dress features a delicate celestial print, layered with intricate constellation embroidery and a distressed, ruffled hem that gave the piece a genuinely lived-in, vintage feel. The true showstopper, though, is on the back. A shimmering, beaded spiderweb motif stretched across the entire open back of the dress, connected together by a delicate draped chain, a detail that only became fully visible once she turned to walk further down the carpet. Law Roach posted the look to his own Instagram with a playfully self-aware caption, poking a bit of fun at just how far he had leaned into the theme across this entire tour. "Don't threaten me with a theme." Zendaya styled the dress with a sleek, short hairstyle and classic white pointed-toe pumps, letting the archival beadwork remain the undeniable star of the whole outfit, rather than competing with heavy jewelry or an elaborate updo. And here is the detail that really cements this dress's place near the very top of this list. When a journalist directly asked Law Roach if he could pick just one single favorite look from the entire Brand New Day tour, he said he genuinely could not choose only one, but he specifically called this no piece out by name anyway, unprompted, above every single other outfit on this list. If the stylist behind every single look this tour produced is willing to shout one out above the rest of his own work, it absolutely earns its spot in our top 5 too. Ranking a dress above most of this list purely on a stylist's personal endorsement might seem unusual, but when that stylist has curated every single one of 16 major looks across 9 countries and still singles this one out unprompted, that carries real weight, and it happens to be one of the most technically stunning archival pieces of the entire tour. Number 4. At number 4, we are landing in Shanghai for the official Chinese premiere, and this gown might genuinely be the single most technically stunning piece of the entire tour. Zendaya wore an asymmetrical gown pulled from Atelier Versace's Spring-Summer 2016 couture collection, a design that artfully contrasts draped white fabric against sheer spiderweb patterned mesh paneling, finished with a daring, high thigh-high slit that added just the right amount of movement to the silhouette as she posed for the wall of photographers outside the venue. Pinned directly at the waist was a genuine spider brooch from legendary American jeweler David Webb, a small but deliberate detail that turned the entire gown into a piece of wearable storytelling, rather than simply a beautiful dress worn for one night on a very crowded premiere carpet. She completed the look with a gold Rolex, Christian Louboutin pumps, and long, sleek hair with soft bangs framing her face. A slightly softer glam moment compared to some of the tour's more dramatic hair choices. Here is where that earlier fan theory resurfaces. Because white is traditionally associated with mourning in Chinese culture, this rare white gown, worn at the tour's only stop in China, only deepened online speculation that Zendaya and Law Roach were quietly using her wardrobe to hint at something happening to MJ in the film itself. Intentional or not, it is exactly the kind of layered, culturally aware detail that made this entire tour so fun to follow in real time. And for a premiere gown on one of the biggest stops of the whole international run, this look delivered precisely the moment the occasion demanded. It ranks above the Galliano dress in raw visual spectacle, even if it falls just short of it in narrative weight. Between the mesh paneling, the brooch, and the culturally loaded color choice, this gown works on nearly every level a red carpet look possibly can, which is exactly what a major international premiere calls for. Number 3. Coming in at number 3, we are heading back to Amsterdam for what critics following the tour widely agree is the most literal, most obvious Spider-Man reference of the entire press run. And honestly, it might also be the single most fun outfit on this list, precisely because it stops being subtle at all. Zendaya wore a black chiffon gown from Rodarte's Fall 2020 collection, originally designed by sisters Kate and Laura Mulvey. A sheer, bias-cut piece with dramatic puff sleeves and a deep, plunging neckline that gave the dress a romantic, almost gothic edge. Stretched directly across the bodice was a massive, ornate spiderweb design, crafted entirely from glittering crystals, with a large, bejeweled spider sitting right at its very center, impossible to miss even from the back of a crowded red carpet, catching the light with every small movement she made. Because the original runway version of this dress was almost completely sheer from top to bottom, Zendaya's team made the smart call to layer it over a pair of tailored black trousers underneath, an adjustment that gave the whole look a sharper, more modern, more red carpet-appropriate edge, while still keeping every ounce of focus on that show-stopping spiderweb bodice. She finished things off with a pair of Steph Fairy web-inspired earrings and classic black, Chris Chin Louboutin pumps, sticking with the accessory brand that had quietly become something of a signature across the tour. The look was first shared publicly through School of Style, a styling education platform that Law Roach himself relaunched, giving fans a rare, closer look at the construction of the piece. After weeks of subtle beading, hidden brooches, and clever, coded color theory, this dress finally said the quiet part loud, and it landed exactly as intended with fans and critics alike. It edges ahead of the Shanghai gown for one simple reason. Subtlety has its place, but so does full commitment to a bit, and by this point in the tour, fans were more than ready for an outfit that stopped hinting and just spelled out the word Spider-Man in giant, glittering crystals across the chest. Number 2. At number 2, we are in Mexico City for a look with more genuine backstory behind it than almost anything else on this entire list, and one that fans are still dissecting weeks later. For a fan event held at AZ Land Février de Chapultepec, Zendaya wore a gown from Ashi Studios' Spring 2026 Haute Couture collection, designed by creative director Mohamed Ashi. Here's what makes this particular gown so fascinating beyond just the outfit itself. That specific collection, which debuted at Paris Couture Week back in January of that same year, was officially titled Morning Dresses, built entirely around 18th century corsetry techniques, paired with dramatic funeral-inspired silhouettes throughout the entire runway show, including bell-shaped skirts, tightly cinched waists, and pearl-drenched trains that critics at the time described as historically rigorous down to the construction methods. Zendaya's gown split that concept beautifully down the middle, one side cut from smooth, opaque black silk crepe, the other side revealing sheer, delicate, web-embroidered lace, climbing up the neck and along one arm, with hand-threaded glass tassels and long beaded fringe cascading all the way down to the floor behind her. Pinned at her hip was a diamond-studded David Webb spider brooch set with a rare yellow sapphire at its center, positioned as though it had been caught directly within the gown's own web-like lattice. And she wore a pair of Jacob & Co.'s Web Collection earrings to complete the theme from head to toe. Her hair was styled in a 1960s-inspired bouffant updo with wispy micro-bangs by hairstylist Ursula Stephen, a dramatic departure from the sleeker styles worn earlier in the tour. Fans quickly connected the dots themselves, with MJ's memory of Peter Parker completely erased in this new film. A deliberate mourning bride aesthetic felt less like a coincidence and more like Zendaya. And Law Roach were quietly telling part of the film's story through fashion alone, weeks before the movie had even hit theaters, making this the single most narratively loaded outfit of the entire tour. Only the finale gown itself manages to outrank this one, and even then, only barely. Between the couture pedigree, the collection's built-in mourning theme, and the way it quietly mirrored the film's own plot about erased memory, this dress does more storytelling work than almost anything else Zendaya wore across the entire 2-month run. Number 1. And that brings us to number 1. The look that closed out the entire 2-month, 9-country, Brand New Day press tour at the film's official Los Angeles premiere held at the Dolby Theater. Zendaya wore a fully custom gown from Aishi Studio, a black satin corset piece with a sweeping architectural train and a sculptural, voluminous skirt that moved almost like an accordion with every single step she took across the carpet outside the Dolby Theater, drawing gasps from the crowd of photographers lined up along the barricades. The neckline and shoulder straps were deliberately built to resemble a spider's pedipalps, the small, leg-like appendages found near a spider's head, turning the entire silhouette into an abstract, wearable interpretation of the film's central creature, rather than a literal costume reference. She finished the look with jewelry from Bou Shuran, shoes from Christian Louboutin, and a set of spider bangs for her hair, styled by longtime collaborator Ernesto Casillas, who also handled her makeup that night using a lineup of Prada beauty products, including a duo of eyeshadow shades and a glossy universal balm, for a finish that stayed dramatic without ever tipping into costume territory. When Law Roach spoke about the look afterward, he explained the thinking behind it directly, describing it as, in his own words, kind of an abstract way to present the spider. He went on to say that in his and Zendaya's minds, the design captured a kind of transformation, the sense of a woman turning into the very creature the film is named for. After 2 months of archival Versace, thrifted eBay t-shirts, and an entire couture collection built around mourning, the tour ended exactly where it should have, with a completely custom, deeply symbolic gown that quietly tied every single theme from the previous 15 looks together into one final, unforgettable closing statement. If you ask us, there was genuinely no other outfit on this entire tour that could have taken the top spot. No other look combined the same level of custom craftsmanship, symbolic depth, and sheer occasion. This was the finale, the official Los Angeles premiere, and every choice, from the sculptural train to the abstract spider silhouette, was built specifically for that single moment, which is exactly why it closes out this list at number 1. And that wraps up our countdown of the 16 best Zendaya looks from the Spider-Man Brand New Day press tour. 16 outfits pulled from 9 countries across 2 months of premieres, photo calls, and fan events. From a $35 eBay t-shirt all the way to a fully custom, architecturally sculpted gown at the Los Angeles premiere, this tour proved once again exactly why Zendaya and Law Roach are considered one of the most consistently creative duos working in fashion right now, especially considering they were juggling this entire run alongside another major press tour at the very same time. Every single look on this list told part of a larger story, whether it was loud and unmistakable, like the Rome Versace two-piece, or hidden quietly inside a single brooch, the way the London premiere gown was. Let us know down in the comments which look was your personal favorite from this entire tour, and whether you agree with us on the number 1 spot, because we know not everyone will. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you are subscribed for more red carpet countdowns just like this one, and we will see you in the next video.